following the backlash over Bad Bunny headlining the Super Bowl halftime show and his repeated provocations against Americans, his command for us to learn Spanish before the Super Bowl in February, Turning Point has responded with their own version of the Super Bowl halftime show. They announced what they're calling the All-American halftime show. They did not use the name of the Super Bowl in the title, I assume, because it's trademarked.
Yeah.
But they say performers and event details are coming soon, and you can go on their website. It says celebrating faith, family, and freedom on February 8th, 2026.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think I would have, I think announcing it, I understand why they did it because it's reactionary.
Yeah.
And the whole point was it's like when the Daily Wire announces Snow White, because it's reactionary to the content. But like announcing it without a musical act is a bad look.
Well, they actually put up a poll on their website asking people what music genres they would like to see featured at the event. And you can choose from the following: Americana, classic rock, country, hip hop, pop, and worship music, or simply anything in English.
See, that's the,
And they were teasing an announcement of the first singer to be featured in the show, but I still have yet to see any details on who that might be. They say Tyler Boyer actually said, "Just wait until you hear is asking to join this lineup. The country is responding in a big way. God bless America." And Jack Posobiec responded saying, "Hold me now." He's implying that Creed could headline. That would be a huge deal. And I said Turning Point would in fact have the means to pay Creed for such an act. Like, they could pay them enough. It just depends on their willingness to be affiliated with a political organization like Turning Point.
Yeah, that's the hard part there. It's like, look,
definitely would be in their price range.
Like,
though.
think about like Snoop Dogg, who's made like literally all the money in the world. Like, he's just the joke for 20 years has been that Snoop Dogg has just been on side quests since like the early 2000s with his Martha Stewart collaborations and all of this stuff, and yet they were still paid him enough money to do the crypto ball, where he wasn't even for the president, but somehow got him tied to the president and brought in re-brought into focus all the things he said about the president in the past and how he's kind of changed his tune on it. And even then he had his Lightyear controversy. Like, what artist is, still with mainstream appeal is going to want to be dragged into an unfortunately very political situation?
Riley Gaines said, Bad Bunny told Americans they had 4 months to learn Spanish if we wanted to understand the Super Bowl halftime show. No thanks, we'll just have our own. Enjoy your low-rated halftime show. And Jack Posobiec said to Bad Bunny, you have 4 months to learn English. So now Vanity Fair has published a short list of possible performers who make perfect sense to headline the All-American halftime show.
And we put a poll up, ladies and gentlemen. We put a poll up. Who did we list here? We list who's winning right now.
Snoop Dogg, Morgan Wallen, Carrie Underwood, and Creed.
Right now, Creed is in the lead. Creed is in the lead with 51% of the voting. With 4 choices, that's quite a bit. Carrie Underwood is second. And you know what? I would choose Carrie Underwood if I were them.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I do. Because I think she'd do it. Because she performed for the president. Yeah. And she is one of those artists that's allowed to kind of straddle the lines of the mainstream and still go to do perform something for the White House and still be mainstream enough. Maybe they get Gwen Stefani after that Hallow app.
Yeah.
Get Carrie Underwood and Gwen Stefani to do it.
The counter-programming culture wars have begun. Turning Point USA has announced it's planning its own Super Bowl halftime show in protest of the NFL's decision to have Bad Bunny headline the main event. The so-called All-American halftime show will take place on February 8th, 2026, the same date as the Super Bowl. Conservatives were up in arms after it was announced that Bad Bunny, one of the biggest artists in the world, as well as an American citizen from Puerto Rico, would be headlining the Super Bowl halftime show. Speaking to right-wing podcaster Benny Johnson, Kristi Noem threatened that ICE would be all over that place at the Super Bowl, which will be held at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. She maintained that she has every intention to enforce the law. House Speaker Mike Johnson called booking Bad Bunny a terrible decision and offered an alternative. 82-year-old country singer Lee Greenwood, who would attract a broader audience. Doubt that. For the record, the God Bless the USA singer has less than 450,000 monthly Spotify listeners, roughly 190 times less than Bad Bunny. Even Donald Trump called Bad Bunny an absolutely ridiculous choice to headline the Super Bowl, despite claiming that he had never heard of him. As of now, it's unclear where the All-American halftime show will take place or air. On social media, Turning Point said, performers and event details coming soon. On a website, there is a survey that asks the public what music genres they would like to see featured. Although Puerto Rico...
Bad Bunny is kind of like Avatar.
What?
Bad Bunny is basically the Avatar of music, is what I've noticed. Because as soon as people were like, nobody's heard of him, like, no. I remember back in 2021, I said the same thing, and it was like Carter or somebody's like, no, you have no idea how big this dude is.
He's a huge artist.
It's like Avatar. It makes $1 billion, and nobody knows how. Nobody knows anybody that's seen it or talked about it, yet everybody knows that the movie makes huge money. And look, I just feel like this is one of these, like, losing propositions where it's just like, bro, the people who are watching the Super Bowl aren't going to turn over to your halftime show. They're going to go get something to eat instead. Even the ones who support you, I don't think are going to.
You can't dispute that Bad Bunny is a huge globally
you cannot.
Famous artist, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the controversy is over his terrible attitude and his very blatant hatred of American culture. Yeah. It's not about whether or not he's relevant.
Well, yeah, it's like it would be like having it's like when somebody says, "Well, yeah, like a big rapper is not the person to headline a rock concert." Like there is such a thing as like the right artist for the right venue for the right concert.
And Turning Point has basically made a Faustian bargain here because if they can't secure a headliner that actually competes with Bad Bunny, and I think that can only be Creed, then it's gonna flop.
Oh, then you get Jason Aldean to do it, I guess. Like,
but everyone wants Creed. That's the problem. So unless they can get Creed
feels
it's
internet.
Gonna be a fail.
I think Creed feels internet and mimetic in a way that doesn't necessarily translate to the real world. It's one of those things, kind of like what used to happen with Nickelback, but in reverse, which is like everyone was tricked into hating Nickelback because the internet told them to. I would go with somebody more relevant to current year.
So Vanity Fair says perhaps they'll reach out to Carrie Underwood, the country music star who made the controversial decision to sing at Trump's inauguration in January. They also mention that the counter programming of football's biggest night would probably jeopardize her bag. They also mention Zach Bryan, saying he's one of the biggest names in country music at the moment, recently breaking the record for the largest ticketed concert ever held in the U.S., with over 112,000 fans attending his concert at Michigan Stadium in September. But he might be a tough sell as well, given his recent release of Bad News, which seemingly criticizes ICE. He previously has described himself as a total libertarian, and wrote on his Instagram that he is on neither of the radical political sides. So perhaps Zach Bryan may not be considered conservative enough for Turning Point USA to book him as a headliner. They also mention Snoop Dogg as a possible headliner. After all, he did perform at a pre-inauguration ball for Donald Trump. But considering that Snoop Dogg performed at the Super Bowl with Mary J. Blige, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and Anderson .Paak in 2022, he might not want to go against the NFL and Rock Nation, or at all.
Who's the biggest Christian artist right now?
The biggest Christian artist?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know.
I don't think it's Creed. I don't. It feels very internet specific to me, and that people who don't live their lives online are like, I haven't thought about Creed in 20 years.
If they're in a pinch, they could always ask Trump's favorite singer, Christopher Macchio, to perform, even though opera wasn't listed as an option on the survey.
That'd be good.
Then they also say there's Morgan Wallen as a possibility.
I don't think they can afford Morgan Wallen.
Wallen has become somewhat emblematic of the cultural right, especially after infamously sharing a photo of a private jet on his Instagram with the caption, "Get me to God's country," after an awkward SNL exit earlier this year.
Anything. He had like one bad interaction and then like made a post that angered people on the left.
They said, hey, maybe he'll take the gig to help with his legal fees if he still has any.
I don't think he has any legal fees.
They absolutely could pay for Morgan
Think
Wallen.
Think so?
Because even before Charlie Kirk's assassination, I believe it was reported they have an annual revenue of $150 million. And it's certainly higher than that now because they've gotten a huge influx of pledges and donations following the assassination. Yeah. So they definitely can. They have the means to pay for pretty much any headliner. The only question is who's willing to affiliate themselves with this political organization.
So it's gonna be like Morgan Wallen, Jelly Roll, and
they're not gonna get Jelly Roll. No.
I just I like the Carrie Underwood. Get an all country music halftime show.
So Carrie Underwood, they could get Jason Aldean.
Yep, that's what I would do.
Who else?
I don't know. I guess John Rich could do it.
John Rich too.
Even he's like he's almost too political for my taste. Jason Aldean just kind of made the song and then got dragged into politics, but I still mostly think of him as a country artist. But like find the artists who are not necessarily on Twitter every day talking about politics.
You know what? They need to get a hologram of Lil Peep.
There you go.
I think that's the key.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.